Hello and welcome, family, to another episode of Wake Up Africa. My name is Dr. Mumbi. How you doing? How's everything going? I really do pray that you are well in all your ways and that you're moving into acclimatizing to the new earth. It is definitely here, family. And as much as we're acclimatizing to the new earth, we cannot forget what happened in the old earth. The crimes, the atrocities that were committed on the individual and collective, levels, all of that must be paid for in this season. And, I've always talked about how it's all about the narratives. And this new earth is literally a new narrative that is unfolding. So many people have been calling forth and visioning, the new earth, a new dispensation, golden age, pole shift, which is happening on a cosmic level. But that, and all of that has brought in brand new energies, family, that are shifting our reality, because we shifted mentally and spiritually first before we shifted physically. But Babylon is acting a bit tricky, family. And I just wanted to bring this to your attention as I just recorded a show talking about how Jeff Bezos's wife had donated something like $275 million to Planned Parenthood, and the whole messaging behind that. I've done a separate show on that, so I won't go into the details, but please check that out. But the whole messaging behind that, family, was about how this was for Black women, to help them make the ultimate choice, etc., etc. So there was a lot of outrage when this was done, and someone had actually emailed me and asked me to do like a commentary on it. So, I kind of forgot about the story. I think it was like a month or so ago when the story immediately broke. So I kind of was just like, let me not touch on this. I was talking about other stuff at that time. And then I got another email recently. So I was like, you know what, let me talk about this, because there's so many dimensions that people know. And when I went to check, family, the story has totally changed. The story about the Black women being able to make all of that has been totally erased because the backlash was so heavy. So they have literally rewritten that story to the point where if I did not have screenshots of the articles that were written before, I literally would have no resources to confirm what I was saying. And that's one thing I've noticed. Let me know if you've noticed in the comments below, family. Please expand. Sometimes we can't say too much with a word, but you guys can back me up. But if you go looking for certain things, like they're rewriting the narrative as we speak, family. They're trying to change everything that has happened. And they're also now, because the narrative is so important, because literally immediately after that donation, there was so much backlash from the Black community. Like, why is it just for Black women? Why are Black women highlighted? They love to use us for marketing and cheap marketing propaganda. But it was just like the backlash was so much. So they've rephrased that whole narrative now. And like when you Google search it, it's all you can see is a very neutral, Jeff Bezos, his wife, donates to whatever, to Planned Parenthood in historic donation. But that wasn't the initial headline they came with. And they're doing this all the time, family. Which is why we really have to work on our addiction to their information, which is mostly false and makes us think the way they want us to think. They're trying to take us down their little yellow brick road, when that is not how reality is, family. So that's why, and it's funny because the conspiracy theorists back in the day, like since about 10 years ago, there's a lot of high-level researchers that I know who have been following, Babylon and the wickedness that they do. And they always screenshot everything, the articles, everything. And they've become even more like, I don't want to call it obsessed with it, but they've become even more diligent. And it's because literally stories are being scrubbed and changed daily. And the reason I share this, family, is because You have to be very careful now when you're even going to read articles. Before we'd say go check out the article so you can do your research, because they're trying to really manipulate the narrative to go with the vibes of the people, remove any kind of opposition, backlash, to reframe it to be more pleasant. So if you don't read a story in real time, don't rely on Google to give you the facts of that story. Because they released that story in real time. If it backfired or if there was backlash, they reworded it, rechanged it. And it's so simple. We exist in a time, family, where even as a criminal, I know people who have committed crimes in Kenya, family. They were all over the newspapers everywhere, having stolen money from the government. And then they hired companies to clean their names online and scrub any and every negative story against them. So now, the thing that was a scandal last year and everyone knew about it, everyone was talking about it. This year, you can't even Google search it. That's how they're controlling the narrative. And that's why we have to move away from them, man. We don't want their confusion, their manipulation. Because that's the only field they're manipulating right now. And that's why until we get our own alternative news, you're going to have to go beyond the headline, family. And you're going to have to learn to read these headlines with the first eye, really seeing what they're meaning. And then going on Twitter and all these other platforms, although they're also scrubbing those. But at least you'll find alternative stories, but just going and typing the keywords and seeing what others said. Because there is a crazier effort than ever before to control the narrative as much as possible, which shows you that they're losing control of the narrative. There's too much truth in these streets. For real, though. There's way too much truth. And it's just they'll release something, there's a rebuttal of truth. That's the information war that's going on right now. And then someone will release something. And they're seeing censoring isn't working. All these blocks aren't working anymore, family, because we're in a new dispensation. And once you expose these lies, they literally break up because they're phantoms in the sky. So I just wanted to give you guys this warning. Be very, very careful about how you're receiving information, how you're digesting the news. Don't just digest it without your full armor of awareness on, your crown open, your eye open, and reading it and hearing it with a different perspective. What are they not saying? What are they trying to pass by telling us the bare minimum without sharing everything? What is the real agenda? And I'm telling you, you guys are working with spiritual teams that will reveal that to you.